Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to New York's Business Podcast. My name is Jacob Restituto. I'm the host and owner of Restituto Media, a photo and video service company. I am here with Casey Riley, owner of Kinetic Coaching in Huntington, New York. Looking forward to chatting. Casey, thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. So for everybody that's not super familiar with you, can you give a little bit of backstory on who you are, what you do, and a little bit about your coaching and gym?
Yeah, sure. So I opened up a gym in Huntington about a little over 3 years ago. Right after COVID, gyms were closing down. People needed places to work out, and opportunities kind of presented itself. And it's 3 years later. I got 100 clients. It's fun times. We do group training. We do personal training, and really just the focus is make a fun environment for people to work out and feel better. So.
Absolutely, I love that, man. That's cool. That's pretty impressive, man. 100 clients in 3 years is pretty cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
So are you here full time? Are you the only coach, or you have a bunch of people?
So it started out that way, when you first start a business, it's just me, the grind every day. But no, now we're up to 5 coaches, including myself, so 4 other coaches. We have a marketing team, all that good stuff. So yeah, a lot of helpful hands. It becomes a lot of work, the bigger you get, the harder it becomes. But constantly trying to grow and get better.
So how do you go from the idea of, okay, I want to start a gym, to starting a gym, to now trying to find clients in a space and a location, all that stuff? So what does that process look like?
So it's interesting because everybody's got a game plan. You think you know exactly what you want. When I first started, it was just all classes. The bread and butter was classes, and I sprinkled in a couple of personal training clients on the side. And then as the business grew a little bit, I got bigger classes. I actually started leaning more towards personal training, and now actually the bread and butter of this business is personal training, which you wouldn't know until you come here and you see that we do a lot of private training. But Huntington area, it's a great area. It's a whole mix of clients. It's just the personal training. I tend to work with a little bit of older clients. They don't want to be jumping into classes with 29-year-old kids and 25-year-olds. So it's a nice mix of everything. But as you grow a business, you just constantly have to adapt, and you kind of figure out what works, what doesn't work. So
absolutely. So I'm curious now, from a business perspective, how you plan to expand that. So I found in business, I used to give guitar lessons, and there was only so much time that I had.
Yes.
So other than increasing rates, how do you increase revenue as a client-focused gym like that? Like, how do you bring in new trainers? Like, you only have so much time, so
Yes.
you can only train a certain amount of people.
So, for me personally, what kind of happened is I got a full schedule. So then, again, like we said, I hired on new staff. But, the hard thing is people get that attachment to you when you've been working with them. You build rapport, So now what I do is when I get new clients in the door, I'm actually going to be a higher rate. Not that I'm better than my other coaches, because, I only hire people that, portray what I want this gym to look like. But, I want to fill their schedule. So, it's getting that volume, but getting quality clients. And, if you want to work with me, the owner, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So, it helps people not want to work with me as much in a sense. But, so that's one thing I do. And then it's really finding another niche. Like, for me, there's no sports performance places in, the Huntington area. And there's a lot of other great gyms in this area. I have a lot of competition in Huntington. And they all do amazing jobs, but not a lot of places train kids. And kids, you got to start them off young. You got to get them moving. Not necessarily lifting heavy weights, but I started taking on a lot of young clients, and that's been picking up a lot. So for me, with growing, I'm actually growing a whole separate business where it's going to become sports performance. So
what does that mean? What is a sports performance?
So
what does that look like?
You get young athletes, like say some kids are going to go into 9th grade next year, and they're going to be trying out for this Huntington football team, and they have a lack of experience in the weight room. They do a couple of push-ups and sit-ups. So my goal is to teach them how to train properly, how to get the right form. Help them for off-the-field exercises. So you don't want them going out on that field tearing their ACL, rolling an ankle. So how are we going to functional movements, balance, stability, all those things. So really just improve before they get to that level.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully they get there and everything I taught them, knowledge sticks with them, and they can do it on their own. But or they stay with me forever, and I love that too. But yeah.
Before we started getting filming, you mentioned that you are looking to expand. First of all, congratulations on that. It's exciting as a business owner that you have the revenue and also just the clientele to expand. It's always a good problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say that blessings become burdens without proper perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little cliche thing to say, but it's like it can be overwhelming. Oh my gosh, expanding, it's expensive, taking out loans and all that stuff. But it is a blessing in the end that you have the business to be able to do so. What are some plans on expanding with the expansion? But also, how are you planning? What you have this new space now. How do you fill it?
That is always the hardest thing I feel like with like business and expanding and growing. So again, a lot of it was word of mouth in the beginning, but becomes a point where so many people can only tell so many friends to come in here. And like you said, I have the blessing of being able to expand this business. The building I'm in right now, I'm working on, a new lease setting up where I'm looking to triple the size of this building, and add on some new services, bring in more amenities. So those are going to be ways to kind of improve revenue. So even without including more clients in the door, I'm able to make a little bit more money off of services that are going to be offered to current clients.
Oh, very
so
cool.
yeah, somebody for example that comes here, they take classes, but they want to lift on their own and go to an LA Fitness. I don't have that right now, but that's something that I'm going to be working into their membership. So you could come in and take 3 classes a week, and then you pay a little bit more instead of paying for an LA Fitness, or I don't want to throw LA Fitness under the bus, they're just down the road, but another gym membership, you can just stay here all in one place, and then saunas, things like that. So just new amenities, new services. But when it comes to the advertisement, I'm still only 3 years in business. It's constantly just trying new things. What's going to work to get new people in the door? I paid to get into a supermarket, and it was really expensive and it was a flop. You learn, but then I did one event in town. I went to Hector Park and I sat at a park, and I got 4 new clients for a free event that I did. So it's just kind of trying out different things and seeing what works.
Yeah, it was one of my questions is that I like to ask all the guests is like some marketing things that do and don't work. And I find that really interesting, and I think that a lot of people get really discouraged when they spend all this money being in a supermarket and it's a flop. They're like, oh, marketing doesn't work. Well, it's like, it does, obviously.
Yeah.
Nike is Nike because of marketing,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Their product is not, people are gonna, depending what people, the product's not much better than other products, but it's just they market it for people to believe that it is. So obviously it works, and it's interesting. It's just finding the right niche, and sometimes I bet maybe 5 years from now that the supermarket thing could work. It's just all about timing and the specific ad that you choose, and the fact that people got to meet you in person in Huntington, in the village and stuff. There's so many different factors of it. But I'm curious, going back to the expansion, I want to hear more about what that actually looks like. 'Cause I think there's a lot of businesses out there that might be listening. They're like, hey, I want to expand, but how does the revenue of that look like? Are you going for a loan? Are you using private equity? What does that look like? And I know everything's different, but I want to hear your story.
Sure. So, I'll be as transparent as I can be. It's nerve-wracking, regardless. It is a lot of money, but the way I look at it is 3 years ago when I came here and I wanted to open up this place. COVID had just happened. Everything was closing down. I really didn't have a lot of money in my pocket, and really all I had was a bunch of clients I was training at their house and doing this. I was a nervous wreck to open this place, and now the rent was too much for what I thought. I didn't think I could ever afford this. And then you grow into something, and if you have a good product and you're good at selling it, it worked out. And now it's like I'm nervous wreck again, and this is threefold of what I did this time. Originally. So what I am going to do is probably get a loan from the bank, but a line of credit is what I'm looking to do. My goal is to not use the bank's money because interest rates are a little crazy. But luckily, fortunately for me, I work in an industry where people have money. It's disposable income when they train. Training is not a cheap thing, and not everybody can afford it. So I have some awesome clients that they have some extra money laying around, and we kind of spoke about this where these new amenities are going to be expensive, and you got to pay for it. So if you're willing to give me let's say a $25,000 loan, I get 4 clients, and they're going to have amenities for life or something like that. It could come back to bite me. You never know. But for me to know that I don't have to worry about that upfront cost, and I have a year to pay these people back and start a 5-year plan. It's something where it's just got to be planned out. You have to trust the people you're borrowing the money from. They have to trust you, and as long as they trust that you have a good business and that you're going to succeed, they could work for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, just to recap, having people that believe in you and people that you trust, but also looking at unconventional ways of loans. I think there's we can get stuck in the ideas of what's typical, and typically you go to the bank for a loan, or you use credit cards, which would be crazy because it would be really expensive. But
yes,
right. But there are other ways to get money out there. We've seen that even from typically in the arts and entertainment industry, but also in the new product industry of things like even crowdfunding and stuff like that. There's always ways to, if people want to support you, there's always people that want to support, and trying to figure out who they are and how to reach them and how to communicate that you're looking for support is really important.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm curious, I want to hear some of the opportunities that you think that are available in your industry at the moment, but also some of the threats to your industry, and how you're adapting to those things.
Sure. So availability, fitness is something, at least in my opinion, it's a community-based thing. Like some people go to the gym, they like to throw their headphones on, not talk to anybody, get their lifts in, that's cool. But for the most part, the fitness industry, you need to meet other people, you work out next to somebody. Everybody likes to have, a gym partner, like things like that. So that's where I feel like gyms will always be a thing, but that, I guess, fear I have is, AI is coming out, you got artificial intelligence, you got YouTube, you got all these awesome things. It's very easy to go online and find a workout program, find a workout to do. You could pay $100 and get a month's worth of workouts, but you lack accountability then. You don't have somebody pushing you to do it. So that's where it's a little different here is you have that accountability, you have that community, you have that push. So that's where I kind of feel like I'm different than other places. And then everybody always says their gym community, but like we have a place where like, yes, you work out, but like if you could see on my board over here, Friday, October 11th, one of my clients, it's his birthday. I said he wanted to write it on the board. We're all going out together. We're going to grab some drinks on a Friday night, and we get a group of like 30 of us that go out. It's awesome. So it's more just like than just inside of this gym. We run 5Ks together. We have, an awesome time together. So yes, there's fears that there's other things that can kind of, affect me negatively, like I said, the AI and the workouts out there, but it's kind of not direct competition with me.
I'm curious your opinion on, and actually to piggyback on that, the whole AI thing.
Sure.
While it's definitely a real thing and it's definitely coming, I definitely think that it lacks the community base of things.
Yes.
Lacks the human element. So yeah, you can get a great workout probably from it, and possibly even to some degree better than some other trainers out there because they have access to the entire internet, right?
Yes.
But you lack the community, the conversation that you're having with your trainer, the conversation that you have when you come to the gym. Like one of the reasons I like my gym that I go to, and granted I'm from a different town, otherwise I might be here if I was in a different but is the community aspect. I've been to a couple, I've been a member of a couple different gyms, and one I would just go in, pop my headphones in, nobody would say anything to you.
Yep.
It was a little bigger of a gym, but like there wasn't much, like you saw the same people every day, but you never said anything to them.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go and like, I personally don't like working out with headphones because I don't know, I like talking to people and stuff. But you see the same people every day, and you have conversations. Oh, how'd that date go? Or how's your kid doing? Or whatever the case. And you just 10 minutes of the workout is spent talking, which I think is cool because then you like actually have friends. And for example, my wife actually, she goes out to dinner and drinks with her gym friends. You know what I mean? Like people have work friends, people have whatever, like church friends, but we have our gym friends, and I think that's really cool. I want to talk about social media influencers, and you mentioned like AI and stuff being a conversation for like how it's affecting your gym. What are your thoughts on the influencer industry and the fitness industry? Do you think it's helpful, hurtful?
So there's both. There's two routes. You could find some awesome accounts to follow that, they give great advice and they're science-based and, they're out there to help you, but then you could follow certain accounts where they're like, do this routine and you're going to look like me, even though this person's roided out and, it's Photoshop, it's everything that you don't want to promote to your clients. You want to promote health. You don't want to promote these unrealistic goals, and there's a lot of BS out there too. So, to have a six-pack takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of dieting, and it's a lifestyle. So people that it's this easy to get a six-pack, and you see Sam Sulek eating a cheeseburger and doing all this stuff. That man works out for 6 hours a day. Like it's an awesome tool to have as long as you're following the right people.
Mm-hmm. As a business owner myself, who's been in business over a decade, one of the struggles that I've had is work-life balance. Mm-hmm. Finding how much to work, when to work. I have a family now, and trying to manage that is very different. Now, from when I was 18 and I was, could work until midnight and get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever, or work until 3 and get up at 6, work on 3 hours. I can't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. I'd love to know your opinion on how you manage, if you think you're doing a good job, a bad job, or if you have any stories about that.
So it's hard. Like, work has kind of become my life, which it's good and bad. My wife is super supportive of me, which is amazing. She comes to the gym. She actually does my social media for me, so she helps post, and she takes some of the load off of my shoulders, which is awesome. So kind of her being involved with it helps. Again, I have family, so it's really just a nice part with my industry again is my family comes here. So my sisters both come to the gym here. So I'm the brother, I'm the middle child. I'm not calling my sisters every day. I get to hang out with them in the gym. Look, is that fair that I probably should do more outside of here? But it's hard. It's hard no matter what your job is, whether you're a business owner or not a business owner. It's really, you have to value the time outside of here. So what I actually started doing for myself, like even my own workouts, like I pencil it in, like this interview today, I pencil it in. I make sure I block the time out. So if clients are reaching out and they want to do it, my workout time is logged in. I'm not switching it. That's locked for me. If I have a dinner planned with my wife and, I have an opportunity to make $1,000 to do certain sessions, like sometimes it's not worth the money to, put a strain on your relationship or on your family or whatever. And, it's important to balance out both of those things.
I heard a really good analogy on this, or whatever you want to call it. I completely agree with what you're saying. And it's essentially I think that people are so linear, or pinpoint, like they're looking at their relationship or their work-life balance in a pinhole. And I think that it's really important to look at it as a long-term thing, right? If you're working a lot and you have a family, first of all, you have to have a conversation with your own family, because everybody's different. Everybody has different expectations and stuff. But one week might be busier than another, and that's okay. Like as well, like finding that balance of like, how does this look over the long term, as opposed to like, because sometimes I feel guilty. I'm like, hey, I have to get this stuff done, and I'm working until 10 o'clock, and I don't really get to see the family. But it's also just that day, maybe. You know what I mean? And I have to look at the fact that, okay, for the majority, I'm spending a good amount of time with them. It's just this week or this day, or that's the balance I'm trying to find as well. But it's hard, man. Especially the hardest part is when you love what you do.
Yes, exactly.
Because I don't feel like I'm working. I enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work. It feels like play. So to find the balance of pulling, and then you're getting paid to play.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. So find the balance of that. I'm saying, I can't make the $1,000 because I'm going to go out to dinner, but that's also important as well.
Exactly. But it's also hard too, because as a business owner, there's curveballs in everything. So it could be the type of thing like, I have a pretty easy schedule. It's set. Like I know my routine, and a coach could quit next week. I don't know what's going to happen. There's all these situations that could occur, and for me, and again, my wife, we would know that it might be hard for a month, and I have to find a new coach, and I have to do these things. But hopefully, it gets back to normal. It's just kind of having that faith that things are going to work out. And yeah, it's crazy.
Continuing along with that work-life balance, one of the things I want to piggyback on what you just said is like that conversation of having to have that conversation with your wife. I don't know if your wife works or not, or if
she does, yes.
But is she self-employed, or she works?
So she's a nurse. She works in a hospital.
So does my wife actually.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah. So our jobs are very different than their jobs.
Yes.
Significantly more stable there.
Yes.
All the things, right? So it's a hard conversation for me. I don't know, it might be for you as well, but like when things are slow, you lose two trainers in a month, and now it's like, wow, this is a slow 3 months, or like this is a busy 3 months in January when everybody signs their New Year's resolutions.
Exactly.
But like in the summer when people are traveling and they're not coming and they might pause their membership, you feel it, right? And having to have that conversation is a tough conversation to have. For other business owners listening that may be in a similar situation, do you have any experience that you want to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough both ways, though, because I've never worked in a hospital, So when my wife is telling me stories about, she works in a NICU with little babies, and I was like, I can't grasp what you do for work every day. Like, but when I'm sitting here and I'm complaining, like, a client that comes 5 days a week has to suspend their membership. Like, she doesn't understand, like, I'm losing a lot of money this month, and there's certain things, different stressors for sure. So, we don't see eye to eye, but it's just kind of, for me, being there to listen and let when she vents, and then she's there even if I'm venting and she has no idea what I'm talking about. But it's just, again, supporting, being there even for that hug. That's all you need sometimes.
Absolutely, man. Small world, man. My wife's a labor and delivery nurse.
No, that's crazy.
So
Wow.
There's an issue, then it goes to the NICU. I heard a really funny, just kind of off-topic thing. It was a comedian talking about how her sister was a nurse or whatever, and how she'd be like, yo, I have the comedian was like, I call on this just, I have a crazy story for you. Me too, I have a crazy story. The sister tells their crazy story first, and it's some crazy hospital story. It's like, yeah, never mind, my story's not that crazy.
It's so funny. Yeah.
So I think the one thing that makes every business sustainable is essentially the repeat customer, right? You don't necessarily have repeat customers, but they're essentially like locked in members, right?
Yes.
So what are you doing, and what have you seen works, and what are you actively trying to do to create that repeat customer of somebody that doesn't just come for a week of the one trial, or even a month or two, like that you want them to be here for their whole workout.
For the long
life.
term.
You're right.
So incentives are big. For me, what I do is like a loyalty program at the end of the year. It's I'm different than like a normal gym. So big box clubs, they sustain business by having people not show up. So they don't want you to be in the doors. I'm the opposite. If I see people are kind of falling off, that's where I'm constantly reaching out, making sure you're getting back in. But that being said, I incentivize people to make it to class. If you're coming to class, you're feeling good, you're probably going to see results, you're more likely to stay. So at the end of the year, what I'll do last year, I haven't set up exactly what I'm doing this year yet. If you were to hit 150 classes, you get a special shirt. It's got 150 on the side. And you know, I did this incentive thing not realizing how many people would kind of push it and hit it. I was ordering a lot of shirts, a lot of sweatshirts. The second prize was going to be like a sweatshirt, like a nice sweatshirt, same thing that has like the 150. And then 200, I believe, the following year, you're actually going to receive like $5 off your membership
cool.
each month. So it was kind of a cool little thing that we did, just to kind of push people. They're like, you know, they're hitting 150 classes. They're like, oh, if I do 50 more classes in the next 3 months, I get a sweatshirt. Let me try. And for me, it's a low cost to have somebody stay a member for a full year. So
yeah, and it's pretty. I like what you said about that way. Like them coming in the doors is then, you know, obviously better for you because they see the value in being here,
Yes.
but also the fact of like if they come in more often then they see the results, which
Yes.
then is significantly more compelling for them.
100%. It's a
Just to
win-win for both.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it's a win-win for both. Exactly, absolutely. So I like hearing people's successes and as well as their mistakes. I think that we can learn a lot from the mistakes as well. So I want to hear 2 stories. I want to hear some sort of venture that you did in business that really worked out well, and one that really did not work out well.
Okay, yeah,
and
sure.
what you learned from that as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've made a million mistakes since I've opened this place up, but like, you know, there's some bigger ones. So I'll go with a mistake off the bat, and I'm not going to name any specific businesses, but you know, getting into bed with certain people, and you know, I've worked with I've affiliated with so many different businesses over the years, whether it's food companies or it's like stretch lab places, and you know, whatever the company is, like PTs. It's really good to have, you know, funneling where you refer and they refer, and it's back and forth. There's been people I've partnered with where there was no exclusive contracts, there was nothing. It was really just I help you, you help me, and like I'll use an example. Like a new food place comes in, and I go use them, and there's almost like an attack on me for using another company when, you know, it's like I'm trying to meet as many businesses as I can, meet as many people, and you don't want to be too exclusive with one person unless they're completely reciprocating back and forth. So a good example, I have a friend that owns a PT place, and me and him used to work in the same building, and he's right here in Huntington, and I send him clients. Somebody gets hurt, you know, I'm calling him, like, yo, can you get this person in? He gets them in. Same thing, he's got clients that, you know, they're young athletes, whatever. He calls me up, hey, Case, do you want to do something where you can get this person on a program? And it's back and forth, reciprocated. He would never be offended if, you know, I had another PT that I'm working with, or, you know, now I'm really affiliated with an iStretch across the street. They're good friends of mine, so it's good, like, where there's not that jealousy factor. So just really be careful who you get into bed with, and make sure you don't do anything too exclusive, because it's your business, that's your focus. That's kind of the big deal. Anybody else you could help along the way is good, and just know not everybody's out to help you. They're really looking out for themselves a lot of times. I kind of like lost sight of that sometimes, and I'm always trying to help everybody, and it's just make sure there's reciprocation in all the relationships. And then, I mean, good things that have happened here, I mean, there's a million things, but
or an opportunity that you took that panned out well, and what you learned from that, why you think that was the case.
Honestly, just the opening day, like when I said I was a nervous wreck. So I was working out of a gym, and I ended up managing this business. And, you know, again, the opportunity presented itself where there was an open space, and I kind of jumped on board. And it's like, if you're scared, like the times you're most afraid to jump is when you should take the leap. That's like the saying, I think. So, you know, if you're afraid and you think it might not pan out, if you believe you could do it, just jump in and do it. So best thing I ever did was opening up my own business, because you know, being a trainer, hopping hours to hours, it was all just time for money. That's the whole thing. Now I finally have a job where I'm making money off of other people working for me, and it's an amazing thing to have. So
yeah, that's crazy, man. That's cool. On a practical level, the last question I want to ask, I want to talk about some of your systems and stuff. Like, I think that every business has systems that keep them running, keep them efficient. Yeah. Whether it be, you know, whatever, the scheduling systems with your business, with your trainers, or, you know, POS systems for, you know, making sales or reoccurring customers. What are some systems that you particularly like that you couldn't function without as a business?
So, I mean, we have our platform that we use for all of our scheduling. It's got all of our finances. Everything goes through this platform, which is good and bad, because now I'm kind of stuck with this platform because it's a lot to get all my information and bring it to a new one. Without this thing, I would not be in business. It's not possible. It just keeps everything in check for me. So from between charging POS, like you said, it's all the members' names, all their info. It's beneficial because my coaches now have access to them. But systems I like to give some of my coaches free reign. It can be a little dangerous, but I trust my coaches where, you know, I give them a client, and I want it to be a personal relationship where not to say like if my coach left, I want that person to go with them, but I don't want it to be that they just come here for me and my name. I want them to come here because the community and their coach. So I give them free reign. Like, use your cell phone, text your client, like set up your weeks week to week and keep me in the loop on it. But you're almost your own independent coach in my business. So think about it like you're running your own little business. And that kind of works out really well for me because they kind of get the power to do what they want to do with it.
Absolutely, man. Last question I have for you is what is, like, now that you're doing this for a couple of years, what's one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started out?
It's you're gonna lose a lot of sleep. You need to understand that not everybody's gonna know what you go through. So like everybody sees, I'm a successful Jim. I'm not successful to where I want to be at all. But people see me like, oh, you have this successful business and it must be so nice. But they weren't really part of the ride, the journey. They just see this end goal that where I'm at now. So there's a lot of grueling times. There's hard times that you got to battle through, and I wish when I first signed up for this, I was like, I like picking things up. I like people. It should be easy. Let's see how this goes. But it's a lot of time and a lot of effort that's put into this. Don't open a business. Don't start your own business if you think it's just an easy way out. It's not. It is hard. There's a lot that goes into it. So just expect that. It's going to be a lot of hours put in, but if you're good at what you do, it'll pan out and it'll work out.
That's good stuff, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah.
So where can people find you online on social media and stuff?
So you can follow Kinetic Coaching LI. That's my Instagram handle. That's where you'll see some cool videos, some cool content. This will hopefully be up on there soon. And my website is kineticcoachingli.com.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you got something out of that. If you have any recommendations, people you think might be a great guest on the podcast, send them over, and we'd love to chat with them. Thank you so much, Casey, for taking the time.
Thanks for having me again.
See you in the next video. God bless and peace out.